everyone, and welcome. I am so glad that you're here, and I am so excited for this presentation because I am joined by Belinda Mendoza, and she is going to talk to us today about Feng Shui. And this is not a subject that I know a ton about, but I know that so many of you are here because you want to find ways to create sacred space in your home. You're looking for ways to balance your energy, both inside and out. And so I just know that this is going to be an amazing conversation. So Belinda, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. The first official Spirit Fair. I'm thrilled to have you.
Well, I'm delighted you invited me, and this is a subject I could speak on for hours, of course, and I love it. It changed my life, and so if I can share tips that can help someone, even something as short as this, to any other way, I'm just thrilled.
Oh, I'm so excited for us to chat about this. So, first things first, I know that you're a specialist in Feng Shui, but when I was looking at your information, it says that you are an urban Feng Shui master. Can you tell us a little bit more about what does that mean? Because that sounds really cool.
It is, because if you think about it, it's a 4,000-year-old art, and the Feng Shui masters of the time were very into observing nature for everything. That told them the secrets and the answers to everything. So we fast forward 4,000 years, the art is still being used today. But how can people access it and understand it? It's so complicated. There's so many systems. And my goal is to bring it into practical terms for people, the knowledge that I've gained and learned over the years. I've been practicing now 25 years. I have over 700 hours of training. I trained in the classical form in China. And so I brought all that to help people in today's times. And so how do I bring that ancient art to today's times in urban society? And so that's where the term comes from. It's really taking all that ancient knowledge and bringing it into practical terms that apply for everyday people.
Okay, I love that. That is fascinating. And how amazing that you did your training in China. That's just fantastic. So I'm going to ask the Feng Shui 101 question is for those who don't know, what is Feng Shui? What does that even mean?
It always surprises me to find someone that has never heard of it. But by the same token, when they've heard of it, they really don't know exactly what it is.
Yes.
And yeah, the two words mean wind and water, and they're based on creating, those are the two elements in nature that flow naturally. And so we are looking to mimic nature, bring nature into our spaces so we can be in harmony with it. Because in nature, everything has an order, it flows. It's we as people who get in the way. So when we use those principles within our space, we actually lead a much happier, better lives. And the whole point of it is to create the goal of Feng Shui, unlike what a lot of people think, it's for more money, it's for this, for that. It's really for better health. Because if we thrive, if we have good health, we can manifest, we can have a career, we can have relationships, we can have money. But if we're weak and frail and we don't feel well, none of those things you're going to be in our lives. So our goal is really to create better health. And we spend about 90% of our times in two places, which is work and home. Now, more home, because since COVID, lots of people working from home. Right. So your environment does affect you. The big key principle in Feng Shui is energy, that everything is made up of energy. The Chinese called it Qi, still do. And it is basically in everything. And the closer you are to something, the more it affects you. So your environment is crucial in that it's optimum and it's healthy. And a lot of the people who were before COVID in work environments, they just came home and started working from home. And they didn't really mimic what they had before. And you have to think of a lot more things than just, setting up your laptop. I mean, there's a lot more to it so that you thrive.
Okay. Very interesting. And I think it's one of those things that we know, like you say, so many of us are familiar with that term Feng Shui, right? But when I think of, on a surface level Feng Shui, I'm thinking, oh, it's making your house look nicer. It's making your house, arranging things in such a way that it's harmonious. But I think it's clear just from this bit of a conversation that it's really so much more impactful and much deeper than that. So what I was hoping we could do, and if you're game for it, is just to share for people who are just becoming familiar with the concept and they want to learn how to get started. Like, could you share some tips for if someone wanted to get started to begin to bring these principles into their home, their life, their office? What are some of those things we could begin to do that?
Okay, let me backtrack just a second to say that it's a very transformative art. That is the reason that I do it, because I'm interested in that part of it. I came out
Mm,
of a medical device industry where I was in sales and marketing and leadership, and I achieved everything I wanted to achieve, but my soul was starving because it was a toxic environment. And I couldn't get balance. There was no way. I had to work, work, work to meet goals. And so I couldn't enjoy the fruits of my labor. So I resigned from that to do this, not knowing whether this would make a business or not, or whether I could make any money. But I realized as soon as I started incorporating the principles into my career part, things started changing rapidly. I got more pay raises and promotions in a 2-year period than I had in the previous 10. And so I
wow.
started learning more, and that's where I started getting my training. While I was still working, I started getting my training all over the place in the United States where there were instructors, and that led me to go to China. So when I
Okay.
came back, I decided to go ahead and just help people that I knew in the community that had businesses that were failing to see if the
Mm,
principles worked. And they
okay.
did. These people's businesses turned around immediately. And
Wow.
so I really was just really saying, this is it for me. I'm going to, because in my previous job, I was into empowering people and helping them turn lagging businesses around. And so I
Okay.
really liked that aspect of work. So when I felt like I could do this with the feng shui, I was real excited. Plus, it was very
Mm,
creative. So
right.
once I
Okay.
started doing these things, I started realizing, okay, these are some basic principles. I wasn't a designer, decorator. But when I finished redoing my house after I learned some feng shui principles, people would walk into my house and say, did you hire a designer, a decorator? This place is beautiful. And I
Mm,
said, nope, just move things around, where they
okay.
felt more harmonious. And when
Yeah.
you feel more harmonious in your space, you feel better. And if you feel better, you do better.
Right.
The
Yeah,
basic feng
absolutely.
shui principles are getting rid of clutter, okay, because that's an energy drain. All things have energy. The more you have in your space, the more it weighs you down. So
Right.
if you can do anything from this video, and that is to clear out clutter from areas of your life that you're feeling stuck in. If you're
Mm.
feeling stuck in a relationship, clean out your bedroom, especially under the bed.
Wow.
If
Okay.
you're feeling
Interesting.
stuck in your work, clean out your office. Make sure your desk is not full of clutter.
Mm.
If you're feeling like health-wise blocked, clean out your refrigerator. So it's very much, tied into the parts of the house and what they mean, what you're using them for. And if the clutter is heavy, things are going to be blocked. You're not going to
Okay.
have flow. You're not going to have movement. So
Right.
that's a
Okay.
really big one. The other one is intention. Decide what you really want. And all of your speakers and people who talk about, the law of attraction and positive mindset, that is a very key feng shui principle because I've helped people and they have very little results. And I have other people where I do very little and they have magnanimous results. The difference is the mindset.
Mm.
These people over here were fearful of having the kind of money they said they wanted. These people were ready. So mindset is very important to stay in a positive mindset and put down those intentions on paper. Write them with your hand because the brain registers more with handwriting than if you type it. And
Okay.
those are things I have all of my clients do before I even work with them is what is it you really want? Then
Mm.
the energy starts to flow in that direction before we've done anything.
Right.
And then
Okay.
we get rid of the clutter. So that's leaving an open space for the energy to flow now. And then we go and anchor those intentions by putting things in the home that are reflective of the things that we desire. And that's how things start to move. And Einstein says nothing happens in energy, nothing happens until something moves. So we
Mm.
move a
Okay.
piece of furniture, there's going to be a shift in your life.
Right.
I had a
Right.
client that didn't move her. I mean, I went to her house. It was very stuck, very cluttered. She was very, depressed. And I asked her, this lamp, when was the last time you moved it? She said 40 years ago. So we moved things around subtly, not a lot. She had amazing energy after that.
Mm. Okay. That is, it's a lot of food for thought, isn't it? Because I don't think, you know, when we think about the clutter, the things that we've got sitting, and now I'm thinking about when's the last time I moved things around in my living room, right? And I mean, I think even on a surface level, anyone knows that feeling you get when you rearrange a room or you decide you're going to try your couch on the other side, and that feeling that it gives you, or how you feel after you've done updates or you've gotten rid of that clutter. And so I think everyone can relate to that feeling and that energy that you're talking about. And from what it sounds like you're saying, this, it doesn't have to start complicated, right? Starting with just setting the intention and taking a good look around and deciding the best place to start, right? So
Right. I mean, it can be your little, everybody has a little junk drawer in the kitchen, a little place
right.
where we have all of our stuff. Even if you just clean that out with the intention that you're starting a new health program and you're going to have more energy, all of a sudden the energy will start to shift, and it'll inspire you then to clean out another cabinet in the kitchen. And it kind
Yeah.
of moves from there. I even have people say to me with teenagers, can you fix my teenagers? They're a mess. Their rooms are a mess, and it's just constant. I can't do anything about it. I said, those are things that probably are better left alone. Work on your main house, get rid of the clutter in the main house, have that house's energy start to be lifted. And then over time, those things work themselves out. Those people immediately say they're open to your suggestions about painting
Yeah.
the room, about getting rid of things. But if you just
Mm.
go at it immediately, to try to change that, it doesn't really work that way. Because I always tell everybody, do what you feel you can do. If
Mhm.
you're stuck on something, like if you have a reason that you just don't want to move that couch, you just don't want to clean that room, then leave it alone. That says something in your subconscious you're not ready for. Go to the
Okay.
places that feel easy to do first.
Yeah.
Anything that looks easy. And about the moving the things, we have a thing in Feng Shui that we recommend, that you move 27 items around at least once a quarter, and your whole life will shift. The
Wow.
seven,
See, that's
seven,
fascinating.
yeah, the 7 and 2 is the nine. Nine is a real high prosperity number. So if you move 27 items around, you're going to have a huge shift in your life.
Oh.
And along with that is the gratitude. We talk about being grateful for everything. I
Mhm.
work with feng shui people, and whatever we do for them, and then I call them back. How's it going? Well, it's fine. I didn't get all the money I wanted, but it's okay. And I go, well, let's list what has been going on. And they list about 25 things that have happened that are new, that they didn't have before. You know, they got out more, their health was better. So they were ignoring all of that because they were focused on
Right.
that one item. And so
Yeah.
really work on the gratitude thing, and writing things that you're grateful for every day. And so that you are, in that. And we one of our little tips is to have a gratitude jar, whether it's on your desk or your kitchen,
Mm.
and you have 30 pieces of paper in there with a pen, and every day you drop something in there you're grateful for. And at the end of 30 days, your life will totally shift.
Mm. Right. Yeah.
Because
And it's so
because you're gonna
easy it's interesting you say that example of how, I mean, sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we're looking for, but it's just not in the package that we might have thought, or, you have to stop and really take stock of what is happening. But one of the things I love, there's so much that I love about what you, now I want to go and, start a gratitude jar. I don't have a gratitude jar. I really should. You'd think I would have one. But also this idea of moving things around, and looking at these little tasks that somehow feel insignificant. They're the things that we can often easily put off, but it just lends a whole other energy and feeling to it when we think about, not only are we, okay, cleaning up that junk drawer, but we're actually improving in a measurable way how we feel, the energy of the house, and that positive action has the next effect of spurring on more positive action, which is so true in so many things, but it's not something that we often think of when we think of, oh, that stack of books that's been sitting for however long. I mean, now I'm thinking, well, 27 things. I need to start moving some things around because
and
I,
that's over a month period.
right,
Okay, so
right.
you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it all in 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's over a month period, but you'll start to see everything in your life shift. And you hit on a really, I'm glad you heard that, because a lot of people, I say this and they don't hear this, and that is that the littlest things matter. Some
Mm,
people say, oh, if I have to go and declutter my house, and then they don't do anything. It's
right.
overwhelming. But if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just do your little drawer, and with the intention of better health, If you just do, clean underneath your bed so that you bring in more, a partner and more romance. Because the thing about the bed is that chi has to flow around it
Okay.
for good health. And if it's
Okay.
all blocked underneath there, that doesn't happen. So if you
Right.
just do that with the intention, oh, I'm bringing in a new partner or I'm enhancing the one I have, you know, that all of a sudden the universe starts moving that way because you've allowed
Mm.
it. You've allowed the energy, and then universe heard what you said, so it's going to go that way. And then
Right.
it leads you to the next thing and the next thing. So it's not one of those things that you hang a wind chime and you win the lottery, like in feng
Right.
shui books say. You
Right. Right.
can, you can, but you have to play the lottery. You have to have the space for it in your mind and body. You have to feel like you can receive it.
Right. Right.
And so there's a lot more to it than that. So we have the three things. We have the set the intention. Set the intentions first. Declutter, so you open up the space. Rearrange the space the way you feel like you want it to feel. And there's some principles around each room. And then the fourth one is take action.
Mm.
That's the one that people forget about. I don't know if you remember the book The Secret. It
Yes.
was out for a long time. It was
Yeah.
all about, think about having that big house and whatever, and it'll manifest. Well, they leave out the steps, which is you have to take action.
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
looking for the house.
Yeah.
You have to, start thinking about those things. So it's the taking action part. So when people are wanting a new career change and we go and we do their home office, we say, okay, let's get the clutter off the desk. Let's put something on the wall that's inspiring to where you want to go in your career.
Yeah.
Let's write those intentions of what kind of job and what kind of environment you want to live in. So we always kind of look at everything first, and then we say, okay, now how's your marketing? How's your website? How are you getting the word out?
Mm.
What's your next step? And you do it in baby steps. It's like little breadcrumbs. As soon as the energy starts opening up, boy, you'll get an inspiration. You'll get a phone call. Somebody will like call you. It's just amazing.
Yeah. How
You don't
that
even have
energy
to know.
begets
You don't
energy.
even have to know how it's going to manifest.
Right. You just have to take action. Yeah. And it's a big one, especially for things like decluttering your house, or even when you talk about websites or digital space. As someone who works in the digital space in the way that I do, I can tell you that there is such a thing as massive digital clutter. And I think we all can relate to that with all of the apps and all the things that we're constantly doing. And so it's actually, we could probably have a whole other conversation about this idea around digital feng shui, if that's even a thing. But
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
that would be
It's
something
very good.
that would be a fascinating topic as well, because this is, I think we're all so bombarded with so much. I mean, when you talk about clutter, it's clutter in the home, clutter in our minds, clutter on our phones, clutter on our desktops. Everything is coming at us. And so I know one of the main reasons for creating this event was to help people find ways, even if it's half an hour on a Saturday morning or an hour on Sunday afternoon, to stop and be more intentional about creating these sacred spaces. And I just think that everything that you're talking about just is so hugely important in terms of creating that sacred space and thinking about it a little bit outside the box. And this has been educational for me as well, because it's not, I think we don't have to go out and buy all brand new furniture. We don't have to go out and necessarily change everything, but those small like shifts in stagnant energy, just getting things moving, and then that moves things along,
It's one of
right?
the least expensive ways to decorate your home
Yeah,
because you probably have some beautiful things that have been stored away, and you probably have, and everything in feng shui is pulling away. So the more you pull away and you donate and you take away from, the more beauty you're going to be able to see in your
mm,
surroundings, because you're only going to put up things that you absolutely love and like. And
right,
that's a really
right,
important principle, is that it should be, everything in your home should have energy that makes you feel good, not because
right,
grandma gave it to you, you don't really like it. And when you see it, it's really
right.
better donated than actually keeping it because it's bringing the energy down.
Okay, interesting. So we should be feeling good about the things that we're seeing within our site and that we're interacting with every day. And I think that can be a tricky one. You mentioning this thing about hanging on to things because they're not even so much that we're emotionally invested in them, but perhaps a loved one who's no longer with us was emotionally invested. And I kind of resonate strongly with that one because my mom was a lover of her beautiful things, and everything that was hers that I have has such deep emotional ties to it. But does it perhaps belong right in my daily space? Is it best serving me to have it there, but I keep it there because of that emotional or her emotional attachment to it, not my emotional attachment to it, right?
Mhm.
So that's a whole interesting thing that I think so many of us can relate to. So maybe taking a walk around and looking at things with fresh eyes and saying, does this bring me joy?
Mhm.
How do I feel when I look at this? And maybe giving ourselves permission that if it's not bringing you joy when you're looking at it, or it's got a layer of dust that you haven't touched in 10 years, that perhaps it's time to, like you say, donate it or rehome it or, you
Yeah.
know,
Give it to somebody who would really appreciate and enjoy it,
yeah,
somebody that, yeah. And
yeah,
you mentioned that about the idea of moving things around is so important because we oftentimes don't know why we're stuck. We don't know why we're not getting ahead somehow when we're doing everything right. And
mm,
so this is what the value of this practice does, because all you have to do is move things around, get rid of clutter with an intention, and things start to happen and you start getting the answers pretty quickly. And you
right,
would ask the question, this is a little bit off, but you would ask a question about creating a sacred sanctuary. And that's very important that people see their homes that way because a lot of people go on vacations to get away from the house because it's depressing, too much clutter, things to deal with. Let's go away. Let's go someplace where it's nice and clean and serene. The room is
right,
uncluttered. And then they come back and they have the same thing. They
mm,
go to work, they just deal with. So create your home as a sanctuary that you would want to vacation in.
right,
Your
right,
backyard, your patio, that it's peaceful feeling, that it makes you feel good, that it nurtures you, that it makes you feel alive, and also recharges your batteries, but also helps you bring a sense of peace because we walk out our door into the highly chaotic technological world every day. And if we come back into something that way, we're just like the mouse on the wheel.
yeah.
We
Oh,
never have a
yeah. Oh,
chance.
yeah, absolutely. That it's such an interesting thing that you bring that up because, my husband and I, we have this conversation often in that when we do go away, you come back and it's, you know, um, I'm always saying, I want our home to feel like the place that you come home to and I'm so happy to be here. And we're often reminded how much we love our space when we go away. You're feeling a little bit jaded or maybe you're tired of the way something looks. You go away and you come back and there's that, okay, I'm home. I'm in my space. And perhaps it's not appreciated enough because, it can be easy coming back to gratitude or tuning into what's important. It can be easy to overlook that or take it for granted or just not give it the love and attention that it deserves. And so you talking about the health aspect, it's just a whole other way of looking at
And
things.
it's a great idea to go away and get ideas. Sometimes you don't
Mm,
know what to do to your home to make it feel better. But when you
right.
go away, you go, oh, they use light colors. Oh, they have a big view or whatever. How can we do that in our house?
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing to have to go around and see what other things make you feel good and see
Yeah.
if you can't recreate that where you are.
Yeah, and I think we've all been inspired in that way before. And I always have this memory of a particular vacation that I took. It was a simple vacation. We were at an Airbnb and they served breakfast on this particular very colorful plate. And there was something about these plates that sitting down in the morning and having my breakfast from this very colorful plate that made me feel so joyful. And I thought, I want to feel like this when I have breakfast at home in the morning, right? Because yes, you're in the vacation vibe, but there was just something about the pattern on the plate that just made me happy. And so I went and asked them, where did you get these? Went and got my own set because I was so determined to, and it wasn't about the plate. It was about that energy, the
Feel.
way that it made me feel. And it just stimulated and started that day in a joyful way. So
Yes.
it's funny how small things like that can make
I don't
such a
know if you
huge
ever
difference.
remember, or if you're familiar with, and your audience is with the magician David Copperfield,
Sure, yeah.
famous guy. Well, he was on Oprah many years ago when Oprah still had her show, but towards the end, he has all these homes in the Bahamas, and they're beautifully decorated. She did an interview with him, and she was saying, "My God, this place is gorgeous." He goes, "Well, I have them all feng shuied." And she
Mm,
said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." He goes, "I know he goes, it's a little bit strange to some people. It's very complicated with a lot of numbers and things, but ultimately it's about the feel.
right,
The end
right,
result is always about the feel." And that's why you can go to the cover of Architectural Digest and see the house that won the award, beautiful, but you can't live in it
right,
because the
right.
feng
Yeah,
shui is off, meaning there's too many windows, too many sharp angles. But
yeah,
it won the award because of its design and being so unique.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
important that it has to feel. That's why some small spaces can have the best feng shui over some mansions.
Right, right. So it
It's
is about uh the way it
the
makes you
flow.
feel, the energy, and not necessarily about how expensive your couch is or what,
Right.
the name on the art on the wall, right? Just about how it makes you feel.
Yes.
I
And
just
quality.
And yeah, absolutely. I've loved this conversation so much, and we're going to be sharing so much information about Belinda below this video. So, be sure to follow up and click over to her information. But I would love to hear, Belinda, just a little bit about how you work with people. So, do you work with people just in person, or do you work with people digitally? Do you do courses? Tell me more about, like, for those of us who now really are interested and our curiosity is going, I could use
Yes,
some of this.
yes.
Tell us more about how you
Well,
work with
and a
people.
lot has come out over the last 25 years as far as resources. So I always offer a 45-minute phone consult for anyone interested in learning how feng shui can help them. It's a no
Amazing.
obligation. It's you get a free money tip. And if you're looking to be a practitioner, or you're looking to use feng shui in your life, I can give you the resources for that, books, whatever you like on that. But I do have a Facebook community page where I give weekly tips. It's free to join. And I put videos, I put anything on there. I answer questions that people have.
Oh,
I
amazing.
have my newsletter, which has a newsletter. It's a low flow, once a quarter.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
do blogging. So I write articles on different things that are important in today's society and how feng shui can help with that. I did one on
Okay.
depression recently. I've done one
Okay.
on, how to start a new business, things like
Okay.
that. So that's on
Okay.
my website, designforenergy.com. But the idea of connecting with you is really something I love doing, and I'm always open to anybody. And back to the work. I have been doing on-site from the beginning, and then moving to Zoom when Zoom started coming out.
Yeah.
Wasn't as popular until COVID. So now
Right.
that everybody was working from home, I did most of my consults on Zoom. So now I'm
Okay.
doing Zoom consults all over the world,
Okay.
and I
Oh,
love
that's
it
amazing. Yeah,
because all
that's
I need are
amazing.
pictures, a floor plan, and then
Okay.
of course, your issue. And you can use your phone or your iPad, and I just can see your space and give you the advice and do the consultation. And there's several pricing packages based on what we're doing. And
Okay.
so it's for many different budgets. So all
Yeah.
of that is available to you if you give me a call, or you can email me or text.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. And I just want to encourage everybody. It sounds like there's such a wealth of information on your Facebook group. I love a good Facebook group community for, like, sharing questions with like-minded people. So that sounds amazing. So everyone, please, her website link is below. You can learn more about Belinda and what she does through the links that you'll see below this video. But I just want to say, Thank you so much, Belinda, for being here because this is, I'm excited for everybody to see this. And I know that I'm going to be checking things out. And the fact that you do calls with people as well who are interested in learning more and finding out more about your services is incredibly generous. So just
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. It was such a
Well, I
pleasure to
appreciate
meet you.
you.
Thank you for being here. And I will close down this interview on this one, but thank you so much,
Thank
and
you,
we
everybody.
will see you soon. Thanks so
Okay,
much.
thank you.